Good day, I'm Alyssa Joy, Solon, and my reporting for today is Chapter 6, Training and Developing Employees to Serve. Employee training. Hospitality organizations face the special challenge of training not only in the required job or task skills. They must also teach the server how to solve inevitable problems creatively and how to interact positively with guests. There are 5 training principles of Lance Paris. The first one is focus on critical skills and knowledge. Critical skills are those that service employees simply must have. A hospitality organization can identify critical skills through a systematic analysis of the service, delivery system, and staff, and also by asking its guests and employees. The guests can tell you what employee skills are related to their own satisfaction, and employees can be trained to ask them. Second one is start strong and teach the big picture. Teaching the big picture is teaching employee the organization's overall values, purposes, and culture, and how what they do helps the organization succeed. Number 3 is formalized learning as process. Formalizing learning means to build learning into the job, make learning mandatory for everyone, and institutionalize that expectation. Send employees to learning opportunity and do it on company time. By putting their money where their values are, organizations can send a strong message to employees that learning is vital to the organization and that everyone must participate. Number 4 is use multiply learning approaches. Using a variety of learning approaches is also important. Barry recommends leaving no opportunity unexplored. In addition to the traditional methods, he suggests that organizations sponsor book clubs, send employees out to observe exceptional organizations in the service industry to benchmark against the best, and constantly practice the necessary skills through a variety of means. Lastly is seek continuous improvement. A commitment to continuous improvement is essential. Good service organizations and good employees both want continuing employee improvement through on-the-job or OJT training and supervision special training session, video demonstration, online courses, and full range of training methods available to modern organizations. Measuring training effectiveness. First is participant feedback. First is and the most commonly used measure of assessing training effectiveness is asking the participant. They fill out the questionnaire on some general evaluation criteria. Since questionnaires tend to reflect the entertainment value of the training rather than its effectiveness, they have relatively little usefulness for accurate program evaluation. At least they tell you if the participant enjoyed the training, like how did the participant react or respond to the training. So the second one is content mastery. The second more sophisticated measure is to test for content mastery. After all, if the point of the training was to learn some specific skill, competency, or content area, then it should be possible to design a test to determine whether participants learn what they were supposed to learn. This measure can be as simple as paper and pencil tests, similar to academic exams, or as elaborate as OJT demonstration of how well participants master the skill. Behavioral change. So the third one and more advanced level of measurement is to assess the behavioral change in the participant. Many people quickly forget what they learn in classroom settings, especially if they don't apply it, use it, or lose it, as the saying goes. College students often say they learn a subject well enough to get through the finals exam, then flush all the information out of their brains. To be effective in any meaningful way, training must be followed by real and lasting behavioral changes when the employee returns to the job. If the training is well designed and anchored to mastering specific service-related competency or skills, and if the behaviors are enforced by positive result or what happens on the job, then positive measurable behavioral change should result. So the last one is organizational performance. The final and the most sophisticated level of evaluating the effectiveness of training is to watch what happens to the measure of overall organizational performance. The training may be well received. The employee may remember most of it upon completion, and they may continue to use it on the job, but the training is useless unless eventually contributes to overall organizational effectiveness in some tangible way. To maintain the organization's competitive position, the training objectives and the training program require constant monitoring to make sure they continue to prepare employees to provide the level of service expected by an ever-changing customer. Developing a training program. So, what do we need to improve? Training should always precede by the needs assessment to determine if perceived organizational problems or weaknesses should be addressed by training or by some other strategy. What do we need? Will training give it to us? For example, a service problem might be initially identified as a training issue to be solved by offering servers a short training session upon closer examination. However, the issue might turn out to be a fault in the non-human part of service delivery system. Constant guest complaints about slow beverage service at a local restaurant might seem at first to require training to the service. But maybe the coolers in the beverage service area are too small. All the server training in the world cannot correct the flow in some other part of the service delivery system. Solving the guest problem. The needs assessment also leads to identify the objectives of training and learning goals. This needs assessment also leads to identifying the object of training. If the needs analysis reveals a lack of some important employee skills, then the training objective would be to ensure that each employee needing that specific skill to perform effectively has it. If, for example, guest comment cards show general dissatisfaction with effectiveness of the hotel's front desk agent in checking guests in and out, then the training objective would be to improve their mastery of the check-in and check-out procedures. The point is that training works best if tied to solving a service problem that can be identified, measured, and remedied through training. For examples of training programs offered in the hospitality industry is mandatory training. EEO or diversity. EO is equal employment opportunity, refers to practices that are designed so that all applicants and employees are treated similarly without regard to protected characteristics such as race and sex. Second is orientation. The act of process of orienting or being oriented. These materials are for the orientation of new employees. Lastly is the safety training. The set of activities aimed to providing workers with the knowledge and skills to perform their duties safely and effectively. Next is external training. Training can be provided by person inside or outside the organization. Many organizations are not large enough to afford their own internal training departments unless the owner or operators of this smaller organization are willing to do training themselves. They generally turn to training consultants or to independent training organizations. So the belong to external training is consultant and an independent organization, university and colleges, customized versus generic, executive development, continuing education programs. Next is internal training. In-house training departments are widely found in larger hospitality organizations. Every major company has internal training unit that provides program to itself, like Hyatt, Marriott, McDonald's, and Disney, or are all multi-unit organizations that have internal training departments. So training costs. Although some organizations keep all training in-house to preserve the organization's security and culture, the usual determinant of whether to use in-house or outside training is cost. Cost is determined by the number and location of employees who need training and the level of expertise they need to acquire.
Okay, so training methods. It is the different types of training that can be provided to employees to sharpen their existing skills and also to learn new skills. So we have here 10 different types of training methods in our screen. So first is mentoring. So mentoring is a formal relationship between junior and senior colleagues. The mentor gives advices regarding functionings in the organization and career development. So next is coaching. So one person who has necessary knowledge instructs other individuals on a one-on-one or small group basis. Next is apprenticeships. So trainees spend a set period of time learning a craft or trade under the guidance of an experienced master. Next one is on-the-job training or OJT. So the employees learn the job by doing. The individual is placed in the work state situation and a supervisor or co-worker instructs the employee on how the job is done directly at the workstation. The next is cross-functional training. So, the trainee moves through a series of job assignments over specific time frames. Next is classroom training simulation. So, content is delivered to trainees using a lecture-based format. Next is simulation. So, the employee practices the job in a simulated work environment. Next one is audio-visual training. So, training using videos such as through DVDs or online content. Then next is computer-assisted instruction. So, a computer program guides the trainee through a pre-programmed training courses. The training is conducted on a computer, often at the schedule of the trainee at the trainee's desired pace. Then last one is training at home. So self-paced and self-directed learning where individuals learn the material in his or her own time and away from the job site. So let's move on to the next slide. So we have here the further approaches to training. Training can be very specific or somewhat general. So the specific is typically used for new entrants who must quickly start performing a job skill well to justify their salary. So to encourage employees to be more effective and responsive to guests, outstanding hospitality organizations offer training and special competencies such as working as a team, creative problem solving, communication, relationships, leaderships, and guest service orientation. So these organizations realize that having the job skills is only the part of the service requirements for their employees. So companies have learned that diversity training, attitudinal training, and other efforts to change how people look at other people can have significant payoffs in improving the way their service employees interact with each other and with many types of guests. Next is challenges and pitfalls of training. So there are four challenges in training. So first is knowing training objectives. So training programs can run into trouble if the precise nature and objective of the training are unknown or imperfectly defined, or if the expected outcome of the training is hard to define or measure, such as programs are hard to justify or depend when senior management reviews the training budgets. Next is planning for pre and post training. So the goal of training is to help learner improve their competence, capacity, and performance. Training helps learners to gain new knowledge and skills. The most effective training also helps learners apply this information to their workplace, a process known as transfer of learning or simply learning transfer. Next is getting good value for training. So training is too expensive for the organization to train everybody and everything, right? So it must try to get the best value for its money by using those training programs that give the greatest positive result for the training dollar expended. So too many organizations fall victim to consultants selling program or of unproven usefulness and value. Organizations should make the effort to ascertain the value of each training and program, and they should assess if the training program provides the desired results and greater guest satisfaction. Next is understanding when great training can be detrimental. Employees can contribute to the success of our company when they are trained to perform their jobs according to industry standards. So training, which is essential for management as well as staff, typically consists of several cases or classes on site or a different location during orientation. So some companies consider in-depth training and an unnecessary expense and expect new employees to learn on the job from the supervisor and older employees. However, this type of training is often inadequate and creates problem for the business. Okay, so next chapter of the slide. So employee development. Employee development is a process of educating employees so they can continue providing valuable contributions to the company. So involves a combination of work experience, education, and also training. So training typically focuses on teaching people how to do the new jobs for which they have been tried or to overcome deficiencies they may have in performing their current jobs. So employees development on the other hand is typically focused on getting people ready for the future. Training needs to look at the present to identify and correct employee deficiencies in performing the job and today. So development looks forward to identify the skills, competencies, and areas of knowledge that the employees will need in order to be successful for tomorrow. So one problem with employee development is that knowing exactly what the future will bring is impossible. Therefore, employee development programs tend to emphasize more general managerial, problem solving, and leadership skills. Measuring these general development programs and evaluating their effectiveness is necessary. As like Norman Brinker of Chile said, so people either shrivel or grow. Commit to helping people help themselves. And also Walt Disney said, get in be part of it and they move up. CEOs of the best hospitality organizations agrees that they must provide many opportunities for employees to grow and develop, and they give employees the opportunity to work their way up through their individual effort. So employee growth can be facilitated by means of the many techniques covered in this chapter. Organizations should make it possible for employees with ambition, ability, and willingness to expend the effort to rise as high as they want to. Career paths should be made available and visible. Okay, so next slide. So career paths and the right experience. So first is preparing for organizational needs. So training must be designed to help newly promoted managers make the transition, but the employee must already possess at least some of the necessary knowledge and skills that turning a superdoer into a supervisor will require. Next is giving employees the chance to advance. So employees tend to believe that the longer a person is with a company, the more that a person is worth to the company. Many organizations support that belief by celebrating anniversaries date with parties and pins to show the organization recognizes and appreciates the employee commitment to the organization. Okay, next one is education. These skills, available primarily through formal education, may be the best way to prepare today's employee for the unknown challenges of tomorrow's competitive environment. Some companies make sure to provide opportunities for employees to get the education that they need to grow and develop within the organization. Okay, so next is tuition refunds. So a good example of how to provide formal education is the traditional employee tuition refund policy that many organizations use to encourage employee development. So companies may pay tuition in advance for certain programs, or they may reimburse employees upon the successful completion of our course. Okay, so next is supporting general education. So in supporting any legitimate employee's effort to improve, grow, and learn is the employer's interest. Such support lets employees know the organization values their potential as much as it values their current contributions. Lastly is the outback. So a good example of an organization that provides advancement opportunities at the managerial level is Outback Steakhouses. So the company starts by recruiting the best restaurant operators it can find. Then it offers them something most corporate restaurants do not a chance restaurants do not a chance to participate participate financially in their own restaurant. Sorry for that. Okay. So that will be the end of our presentation. Thanks for being with us. So do you have any question regarding our presentation? If there are, do not hesitate to ask for us. So please keep this presentation for study purposes. Thank you guys.